Thomas is a show business jack of all trades. He's appeared in movies like Mr. Holland's Opus and TV shows like Mork and Mindy and Cheers and Murphy Brown, for which he won 3 Emmys. He's also a popular and successful radio host and the star of the aptly named The Jay Thomas Show. So here to tell hilarious stories and to borrow a pair of my socks for some reason is Jay Thomas. Hi, Gilbert Gottfried with Gilbert Gottfried's amazing Colossal podcast, here with my sidekick, Frank Santopadre. And if you've never heard of Ray Thomas, that's you've
Ray
been...
Thomas.
Right?
He's tired.
Jay Thomas.
Yeah, Ray. Oh, if you never heard of Ray J, well, you could call me Ray. And you could call me J.
Really?
But you don't have to call me Johnson.
I will tell you, I'm now glad you were fired.
Yes.
I am.
Now, Jay, you've known me a while. Can you please just talk about how great I am? And
are you hard of hearing? Is
yes,
that why you yell like this?
Yes.
God forbid. I have to put headphones on.
Yes.
And I hope these are noise canceling rather than. All right. Well, I will tell you, it's lovely to be. It's weird when you know someone as long as I know Gilbert. We were at the Improv together years ago, and I realized I didn't want to be a part of the group of individuals called comedians. I really found all of them like, what is wrong with? They're all unhappy, and I come in there happy and telling jokes because I'm happy. They're all miserable, and Larry David is, he'd throw a rope over the rafters in the back and want to hang himself. Everybody was crazy. Right? You were actually fairly happy. Well, you lived with your mother, I remember.
Yes.
Yeah, is she dead now, your mother?
Yes,
oh, wow.
yes.
Is that why you live here?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, I moved in here.
And Dara has taken care of you like your mother did.
Yeah. Yes.
Pretty much.
But it's a really lovely apartment in a beautiful neighborhood where 4 guys asked me to move in. Good evening.
Yes. Now, who are the other comics you remember back then?
I remember guys that kind of didn't make it. Barry Diamond, remember him?
Oh, my God, yes.
Yeah. He had a great joke. He said he was playing basketball in a neighborhood so rough, he went up for a layup and a guy shot him in the knee. And I remember going, Episcopo was there who was a good guy and then became a complete asshole. And I think admits it, and then, had these big muscles and said he never took any juice. And I said, Joe, I've been working out with weights my entire life. And unless I took something, I wouldn't look like you. He but he's, no, I never took anything. So Joe, Larry David, the Wayans brothers, I think were
Keenan Ivory Wayans used to be.
One night I did a bit where I did the whole, the movie, the TV show, Zorro. There's a television show, Zorro. And I had a wooden horse, and I had props and all this. And I ride the wooden horse around, and I pretend I'm the big fat sergeant. And I ride out of the door, and the door closes, and I'm locked out of the Improv. And by the time I got around to the front and came back on the stage, they'd put another comic on. They didn't wait for me to come back. That's true. And then I come riding down the middle, and I go, and there's, somebody else who was a really good-looking comic. He was in Boston, and he had testicular cancer.
Oh, yeah.
What's his name?
That way, I think, was Brant von Hoffman.
Yeah, Brant von Hoffman.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember him. They were nice guys.
Yeah, he was known for testicular cancer.
Yeah, he went and he gets testicular cancer, and I think I mentioned it on the stage. And, I was just developing this style of being an asshole, I guess. And there was a bald-headed guy in the front row, so I just worked this bald-headed guy over. And it turns out it's Brant's dad who didn't like the fact that he was a comedian or whatever, and he'd come to the show. And I said, well, why do you put, your bald-headed fucking father in the front row? Who, by the way, his head looks like the testicle that's left. Oh, yeah. They hated me. No wonder. So that was that. And he became the president of HBO, who was the manager.
Chris
Albrecht.
Chris Albrecht,
yeah.
sure.
So I know Chris. I see him every now and again. Restaurants, how you doing? And he's the head of HBO. Never calls me. Never. Nothing ever happens. Likes me and all that. One day I get a call from Chris Albrecht, like at my home, called the agency or whatever. He says, Jay, I'm doing a show at blah, blah, blah. Would you come and do it? I go, yeah, what is it? And he's, women in film or something. He booked me to MC a free afternoon luncheon. Women in film. And that was it. He booked me for a free, I guess he figured I'd be the only MC available that day. Yeah, it was weird.
That you'd be so thrilled.
I did it. I went and did it, and there was, whoever was there and women in film. And, I think my line there was, I really loved Bonnie and Clyde, and it was a chick flick with a happy ending. Not Bonnie and Clyde, Thelma and Louise.
Yes.
It was a chick flick with a happy ending, and they groaned because in the end, the two women died in the car. I thought that was funny, and I said I didn't go down on women during their period. I remember I said that. I don't
like the right room for that.
Yeah, it was all bad. I can't believe. As my wife would say, well, of course he'll never use you ever. As long as you live with that kind of material. It's horrible.
Didn't Albrecht, wasn't he half of Albrecht and Zamuda, comedy A to Z?
He did try to do some comedy for a while, right?
Yeah,
and then he was the manager, the bartender kind of a guy over there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and then Bud would open sometimes. When you were there, did you always want to follow a singer? Who were those sad singers at the Improv?
Well, I remember she mainly worked catch, but Pat Benatar
really?
was a singer at one time.
Oh, wow.
And Patti Smythe.
Holy shit.
Yeah, they were like the big singers.
Fuck, can you say holy shit?
Fuck shit.
Okay.
Cunt.
Well, Rick Newman was managing Pat Benatar. And she was a singing waitress at Catch.
Wow.
And there were a bunch of other singers who went absolutely nowhere.
Yeah, and they would sing, and the crowd is there, and it'd be polite, and you're going, they couldn't wait. They'd think anything was funny.
And what I remember, when the singers would get off stage, or when they were ending and saying goodnight, the waitresses, for some reason, as a show of support, would start screaming, more, more. And I thought the audience is looking around going, we don't want to hear any more of this. We didn't come to a comedy club to hear singers.
The waitresses wanted to hear more singing?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. They must have been lesbians.
Yeah.
We had to be lesbian singers. Right?
But Jay, you said you were a comic when you started out in New Orleans. You were doing other people's material. Do I have that right?
I did. Well, in high school, I started imitating Bill Cosby and Woody Allen and whoever, because you get an album.
Right.
They weren't on TV all the time, right. and I would do that, and then I'd put my own stuff, there in the middle, and I began to win talent shows and stuff. And then I got hurt playing football, and it was devastating for me because that's all I really wanted to do. And so a teacher said, look, we're having the talent show. And they were big deals. These big, thousands of people would come over 5 nights to these talent shows. And so I emceed my high school talent show at Jesuit High School in New Orleans, and I won the talent show. I wasn't entered, and I won it. And so then other schools called, and so then I was taking typing lessons at the YMCA, which was about 6 or 8 blocks from the French Quarter. And I would go into the French Quarter and I would say, can I tell jokes? And it would either be strippers would be there, or there was like a hootenanny kind of a place or whatever. And they would let me tell these, my jokes. And I would sometimes stand in the where the go-go dancers danced in like a cage. And guys would throw shit at me while I was telling.
It's like the Blues Brothers.
Yeah,
the chicken wire.
And the cops would come, and I was 16, and I'd hide under the stage, and it was fun. Then I my parents would have been horrified. So I would drive and I would touch the YMCA. I was Catholic, I don't want to lie. Touch the edge, and then go tell jokes. My dad would go crazy because I couldn't type. And I said, my hand hurts. I can't do it. Like on his deathbed, he said, I've never understood it. You can't type, but you're very funny. I go, well, I don't know how that happened, Dad. Just, you rest easy now as you take off. So yeah, that's true. It was, Nobody knew, or if they did know, they thought I did a good impersonation.
Didn't you do the Woody Allen bit about stealing second base? And feeling guilty
and going back.
Right.
Yeah, stealing second base at this paranoid camp he went to, And then Bill Cosby, I did all the football stuff. Pro, this is the kid. Kid, this is the pro. What's the matter with you, boy? Well, I can't get no girls. Yeah, and you ugly too. And Jesus Christ, they would go crazy.
This is your beginning in show business.
Yeah, it was fun. And, I did theater and stuff. And then I boxed, I wrestled. I played football, I ran track, and then went on to college and kind of did the same thing and told jokes and started writing my own material and became a DJ, sports announcer first.
In Charlotte?
No, actually in Panama City, Florida.
Florida.
I was a high school football announcer and at the junior college and did stuff there, and then moved to Pensacola, and then to Knoxville, and then to Nashville, and then to Charlotte, North Carolina, and then from there Jacksonville, Florida, and then I moved to Charlotte again and back to into New York. Yeah, I was a big deal in the South. I did basketball, football, told jokes, morning guy and all that stuff. I mean, Howard Stern once said that they used to listen to me at 99X before they were, they're in Long Island.
I remember 99X.
Made fun of everybody,
sure.
and Steve Allen came in. It was a big deal for me when he came in, and he wasn't funny at all. He's one of those guys that, and I have comics come on my show now, and it drives me nuts. They don't know how to do, like you know how to do radio. You're not afraid that you're going to ruin your show that night or whatever the hell it is, right? There are a lot of these comics who are afraid, I guess, if they do their material in conversation, that they can't use it again. And the joke is, well, no one's listening to this show. But I've thrown a football and told the same joke on Letterman for almost 20 years, and there are still people that come up to me or send me the video as if I've never seen it before, right? And it's been, 10 million hits or whatever. So you can say the same crap over and over. I mean, you do the same material forever and ever. Don't you?
There are also those comedians that come on the radio that unless the interviewer has it prepared, and goes like, so I heard you were trapped in an elevator with a gorilla. And
it's worse than that.
Yeah.
I will lead them to everything I think they should be working on. So I would go to some young comic, I would go, what about that war in Iraq? Figure they must have some jokes about that.
Area.
Hey, how about that traffic out there? I say to my producer, I go, just tell me what to ask them, and I will ask them, whatever it is, got boyfriend troubles or whatever, But a lot of young comics come on and they just, they don't. Let's say over 45 years old, they're all beat up and drunk and everything else. They don't give a shit. So they come on, they'll say anything. I mean, have you ever heard anyone yell out one of your bits when you started doing it?
Oh, yes.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Does that bother you?
Yeah, it's annoying. I've had opening.
Do the Japanese guy for us. They do that one?
I've had opening acts doing one of my bits. Yes.
That's impossible.
Yeah, I've been sitting in the dressing room hearing the opening act and I go, oh, that's my bit.
My God.
What do you do in a case like that, Gilbert?
Nothing.
Remind them.
Yeah. Hey, do you remember the story of Joe Piscopo getting beaten up? Yeah.
By a mobster.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was making fun of, and he was beaten in the coat room. And he was put in the hospital for 3 days. Joe and I were really close friends. He had married a woman from Fort Walton Beach, Florida. I was a DJ in Jacksonville, and he was going to a college, a kind of a broadcast college there, and he and his roommate would do bits on my nighttime radio show. And so years later, like 5 or 6 years later, I end up in New York, and I'm here as a DJ, and I'm here to do my thing, right? And I go to the Improv, and there's Joe Piscopo telling jokes, and we'd never met face to face. I don't think. And I went up to him and I said, it's me, Jay Thomas. And he goes, what are you doing? I said, I want to be a stand-up. And he got me in there on Sunday nights. I guess we started on Sunday nights. Yeah, so Joe got me into the Improv. Yeah, that's how we started.
Yeah, and I remember Joe during that period of Muscle Man period.
It was weird.
He used to grease his muscles, too.
Yes, it was odd. It was a weird thing.
Why was he beaten up?
He
that
made
was that catch.
Made a was it Catch? I thought it was
Catch.
improv.
Oh, Catch is where, because he was joking about some guy in the audience and saying something. All the mob jokes. Like you were doing, pushing your nose to the side.
All that stuff. You were explaining that to the listener.
Well, it's not being filmed.
Well, why don't you Skype? Why don't you Skype this?
Yes. But he's doing all the mob jokes. And what are you, a hitman for the mob?
Oh.
Turns out he was.
Yes.
And then he comes out. Joe is just there at the bar.
His name was Nick Slasher Abogado.
Yeah.
Something like that.
No, even better.
Wow.
And then he's out at the bar, and out of nowhere, this guy punches Piscopo right in the face. And
just cold cocks him.
Yeah. Rick Newman's great advice is, Joe, run! And he makes a run for it. And then Rick Newman visits Joe Piscopo at the hospital, and he's shaking his head back and forth, and he goes, I can't believe he did that. I can't believe Johnny Rip would do a thing like that.
Well, you know what else? No cops were called, no lawsuit.
Yes.
Right.
No
Nobody saw it.
Nobody said anything.
Yeah.
Nowadays, first of all, you tweet it.
Oh, yes.
First thing you do. I was beaten tonight, by an Italian. Then Joe would get in trouble for saying he was a mobster.
You have to apologize.
And by the way, he wore black shoes. That's racist.
Yeah.
He had black shoes on. And I ran like a Negro. That's racist. Yes, and I wanted to go home and get an arrow, put it through his heart, like an Indian, like a redskin. It would have been all... And I wanted to kill his family like a Puerto Rican. It would have been racist.
And I turned yellow like a Chinaman.
Yes, I was as yellow as the guy that delivers my food. Oh, yeah. He'd be ruined.
It's way over 146 characters.
They were asking
Would work
me,
as a tweet.
we'd like you to comment on the firing of Anthony from Opie. And I said, here's my comment. I don't give a shit. I just hope they free up his salary and give me a raise. I don't care.
What do you think of the Redskins controversy, being a football guy?
I think he has to change the name, and I think he must be trying to save on I don't know what stationery? I don't know what he's doing. He's got to change it.
Well, now he's lost his copyright protection.
The Radskins. How about that?
There you go.
Come on, Radskins, let's go. There's really no fearsome name you can think of. That's the problem.
Now you, much like, what was the guy on Married with Children, originally from Happy Days, who killed every show?
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Ted something?
Ted McGinley.
Ted McGinley.
Yeah, I have that in me.
So you were like the Ted McGinley for a while. What shows have you killed?
Well, there was a line of them back, but I was added to the cast of Hung. Next day, canceled. I did Dennis Miller's TV show, canceled. But literally the next day,
yes.
I just did The View. Sherry Shepard interviews me. God told her it was over. Did you read that statement? God made the earth in 7. That's a completion. She's been here 7 years, so it's over for her. That's it. I've watched shows that were canceled. Just sat and watched it canceled the next day. I just saw that show for the first time last night.
You got a lot of power.
Yeah.
One show you were put on right at that desperation stage. There are always these series.
I have done that. The desperation.
At the shark jumping.
What did I?
Yeah.
What,
okay.
You
this
know more
one.
than me.
This was a show that was a big hit at one time, and then they went in for every gimmick and stunt and extra character they could throw in to try to salvage
What
it.
show?
Mork and Mindy.
Well, now wait a second.
Well, he was there for 3 seasons.
No, wait a second. Mork and Mindy was the number one show because of Robin, and I remember watching it. And I was not. I'd done some off-Broadway stuff and was fooling around with you guys, and so I'm watching Mork and Mindy and thinking, wow, this is crazy. And I get called for an audition, and I was in that group where Jay Leno's face scares children. Have you heard that?
Oh yes,
that was Mork and Mindy. They looked at his face. They looked, and these were in the days when they flew you out to Hollywood for a screen test. And this is what I remember. I go, and hundreds of guys are trying to get this part of the deli owner. And I win the audition here, and they fly me out first class. I'd never been in a first class seat. and I'm working at the radio station at 99X at the time, and I'm in the first class, and I can't believe there's going to be Chateaubriand and champagne. I mean, it was when it was big deal, right?
Oh, what?
And all of a sudden, they bring in and they lay down 2 seats next to me, 2 giant first-class seats, like right next to me, and the one behind me. So it's me, and now these seats have been leveled. And they bring on a stretcher. And in the stretcher is an old, dying woman that they're transporting from New York to Los Angeles. And they put her in the seats next to me. And when I say dying. And so her daughter can't afford the first-class seat, so she's in the back. And the daughter comes forward to roll her mother so that she doesn't get any more bed sores. And it's a 6-hour flight, and here comes the Chateaubriand, you know, the cocktails, the whatever, and every now and again, this almost dead lady fart would come wafting through, and then the daughter would come, and she would ask me for help, and we would move this blanket, and the old lady would go, 6 hours across the country. Yeah. That's it. You can't write it, make it up. Nothing. Yeah, it ruined my whole trip.
But you get there.
I got there, and the audition is like on Monday, and they put me in the Holiday Inn there in Hollywood, and Alien was showing.
Okay.
And it was pilot season, so all the comics were out there, and Larry David was there, and I think Rob, who was the oh God, I know him so well too, and I'm forgetting Robert. He played the agent on HBO.
Oh, Robert. Yeah.
We're all forgetting.
Oh, from Odenkirk.
No.
Oh, Robert Wool.
Yeah, Robert Wool's there.
right.
They're all there.
Okay, yeah.
And they're all starving, and they're all comics, and they're there for pilot season. So Aliens play, and you know, this movie. So I'm doing anything to relax myself. I go over and I see these comics that I know. And I get in line, and I see them all. I'm saying hi, and I'm so happy to see them and everything else. There's like 8 or 9 of them. And I go, what do you got? You know, we're all here for pilot season, and we're living in this thing. And I said, oh, well, I'm here at the Holiday Inn. Paramount flew me in, and I'm screen testing tomorrow for more.
Wow. Yeah.
I went and got popcorn. When I turned around, they had dispersed. They were not sitting with me. They were not around me. That was that. So now I go into this unknown movie, and I'm, just there, and I can't stand horror movies. I'm scared to death of things. I sit down in the middle next to this, and there was a black guy next to me. I'm sitting down there. When that monster came through John Hurt's chest,
chest burster, yeah.
I grab on to this black guy next to me, and I'm like in his leg, get the fuck off me, man. Are you? Yeah. And so I watch Alien. That ruins me. I go back to the room. I wake up, and I read with a series of girls that were going to play my sister. And so I pick out the cutest one and immediately want to, fuck her that night,
yes.
And I thought, we'll be on TV a long time. Why not fuck while we're doing
Seems
it?
reasonable.
They hired the least fuckable woman of the group. And she played my sister because she played cards with, Gary Marshall or whatever reason they chose. And then I go do Mork and Mindy. And for some reason, Robin had no interest in me being there. None. He wasn't exactly mean, but he wasn't welcoming. And I know he was all coked up and all that kind of stuff. But instead of me, the character, taking him places and showing Mork, the world or whatever, did you do a Mork and Mindy?
No.
Oh, they would bring in, they brought in, Paul Rubens came in. He was a comic. They would bring in all these comics, and they would have the scenes with Robin, and I would have 2 or 3 lines or whatever. And if I had a show, I thought I did well. So, Robin just, wasn't saying, gee, let me be with Jay, right? And so now this first season ends, and I'm making like $10,000 a week, right? And the agent that I'd gotten didn't believe or something that I got these big auditions, and I was already in radio. I had a lawyer and everything else. So I called the guy up and said, look, I've got a huge audition, and you're not really treating this properly, so I'm not going to use you as an agent. And he says, well, I'm going to sue you. I go, well, okay, but, I don't know. So I call this lawyer friend of mine, and I go, this agent guy. The guy says, well, I know the vice president of Paramount, and my lawyer calls up, and he goes, yeah, we got you the deal and the whole thing. And so now that the agent sues us, right? And for 10% or whatever it was. And I hadn't signed a contract with him. And in L.A., they make you sign. But in New York, everybody was running around with those. And had I won the lawsuit, I would have changed. All these actors could have just stopped working with their agents who they never signed with. So now the union gets involved. Everyone gets involved. And I think I paid the guy 5% for a year. So now I didn't have an agent. I had no one to send a check to. I would stand in line with all of the truck drivers and everyone getting their checks on a Friday night at a window at Paramount. And they were getting $800 or $1,000, and this $10,000 check would be handed to me through the window, and I would get this $10,000 check, and I'd made 60, 70 grand. I made money as a radio. Now I'm making so I would sign a piece of paper, and I would go to the bank and put my $10,000. I didn't even need 2 shows. The $10,000 is gonna last me forever.
Sure,
$10,000 a week.
Yeah.
The lawyer guy calls me. I still don't have an agent. I have no agent. I don't even know how to get an agent. I'm on national TV, no agent. He calls up, he goes, oh, and this is what they used to do in Hollywood. They would lower your salary and cut your shows, and of course, you quit. You quit. So the lawyer calls up, he goes, look, they're not as happy with you, blah, blah, blah. They're not going to give you a full season. I go, oh, okay. I'm on the phone in my apartment in New York. He goes, yeah, instead of doing, 13 or 26 or whatever, they're going to give you 8 out of 13 shows. And they're going to cut your salary to $9,000 a week. And I go, okay. And the guy goes, did you hear what I said? I said, yeah. 8 times 9 is
72.
Something like that. And
you could still get along.
It was fine.
You didn't need a telethon.
And the guy kept saying, now, do you want someone to negotiate for it? No, I think this is going fine. I think this negotiation is really going well. And I said, where do I go to get the papers? When I show back up at the set, everyone's like, what? What did he do? I go, we cut his salary. We cut the show. He just okay. I said, all right.
You wouldn't take a hint.
So I did the next, season. And then in the 3rd year, they fired me and about 4 other people, and they hired Jonathan Winters. Yeah, that's what they did. But I did 30 shows or something, and, it was in the whole time I did 14 minutes or whatever, It was weird. I wasn't any good either, but they also didn't really have me ever doing it.
One of your first acting parts, really, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I'd done theater and stuff, it was. I didn't really do enough work to get better, to become a TV actor. Then I came back to New York, went back into radio, and did 4 or 5 years of solid theater, and did some more stand up, not a lot, and really learned how to act. And then when I went back to L.A. again, I was replaced by Howard Stern. He learned so much from me that he beat the piss out of me. And
that would go on to happen many times.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, many markets.
Over and over again.
Yeah.
And so I go out there, and I got on audition for Cheers, and I got on Cheers. Yeah, that's how that happened. So.
Now here was a story I was talking with Frank about.
What?
I don't know where he's going, Jay.
What is it?
Now, you're on Cheers, number 1 show on the air.
Yeah.
And
second number 1 show I'm running. Yeah.
Yes. Number 1.
I played a really nice guy, though. I played a really sweet
Eddie LeBeck,
really sweet player.
And then you went back to your radio show.
Number 1 radio show.
Yes, and had some, we're talking about...
Rhea Perlman.
Rhea Perlman.
I would make fun of the character Carla. I mean, everybody did. They were Carla. And I was being listened to all over L.A., right? And I go to work, and I started noticing she didn't speak to me. And guys will call up and they go, "Hey, you want that collar on her? They got to pay you extra." I go, "Yeah, I get battle pay to kiss her, and we rub our stubble together, ha ha ha." So one day I'm home, phone rings, and it's Jimmy Burrows, the biggest director.
Yeah, sure.
And I had, I'm in my living room, and he says, "Are you sitting down?" I'm thinking, I know they're going to add either BB Newirth or me as a main character because I was recurring, but I recurred a lot. Oh, cover a TV guide, 1 hour specials. We did it all. We had children together. We had everything. And he goes, and he goes, "Now, this isn't because of Rhea." What he opens with.
Right, so you know it.
And I go, "You mean I'm not coming?" "No, you're not coming back. Blah, 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 blah." So it's kind of quiet for a minute. And I go, "Well, okay." I think he reiterates, "This isn't for Rhea, because of Rhea." And I go, "Okay." And so then it's quiet, and he goes, "Do you want to know how we're going to get rid of you?" And I go, "Okay." And he goes, "Well, we find out you're a bigamist. And you're such an old beat up hockey player that you're run over and killed by a Zamboni machine, which goes like half a mile an hour and cleans the ice." And he starts dying laughing on the phone. And you were traded to the Pittsburgh Penguins, which we know, but it's the Ice Capades Penguins, and we're going to bury you in your penguin suit. And this is how much of an actor I am. You want me in the coffin? I would have gone back for another $9,000. I'd have gone back and died and been dead
scene.
like Sherry friggin' Shepherd. I hung around. Oh, they canned me out. Oh, you fired me? Well, give me some makeup. I'll be back out in a minute. Yeah.
Your old buddy Ken Levine did a funny blog about the death of Eddie LeBeck.
Yeah.
Recently.
Yeah. Then he went on to be a big
baseball guy for the Padres.
Something or other. Yeah.
So you killed one show. You were killed on another show.
I've been killed. Yeah, it's all happened.
But you won an Emmy.
2.
2 Emmys.
Nominated 3 times.
Okay, one was Murphy Brown.
2, all of them.
Oh, all were Murphy Brown.
So now I lose my job at Cheers.
Back to the radio.
And I was doing other episodics. But I was on the radio. And and I would make fun of it on the air. I was playing, dance music. I mean, every Mexican in L.A. listened to me, and my car was parked immediately when I pulled up. I couldn't get into the club, but my car was waiting for me when I came out. So, hola, ¿qué tal? Buen día. ¿Dónde abonigas? And so...
Now apologize to Mexicans.
I am Mexican. My mother's black. I'm not apologizing. People, how can you make fun of black? My mother's black, and she has those big immigrant nipples. Big. They look like that hard sausage that you buy in the Italian deli. The ones you cut, they have like dots all over. Goddamn, Gilbert. You made me choke on my own shit here. So they send you a script. This happened with West Wing, too. And, I was kind of known, and no one knew what happened to Cheers. But, it wasn't like Twitter or whatever. So I go in, and they'd been on the air for a few years at Murphy Brown, like 2 or 3 years or whatever. And they were looking for a guy to be in the office or something like that who was kind of an overbearing asshole. So I come in, and all the people are there, and a director I knew from New York was there, and a guy that had Barnett Kellman was his name, and Diane English is there, and they're all there, and so I come in, and I begin firing like an asshole completely. I looked at Barnett, and I go, "I thought you were dead." I did all that shit, and I intimated he had AIDS or something. He was very skinny, whatever, and. I get back to the car or get the phone, and my agent goes, "Well, what did you do over there?" what happened over there? I go, what do you mean? He goes, well, they don't, you're not being called back, and they don't want you like to come back over there. I go, well, no, I was playing the character. You know how they go, well, he came in, he was bald headed, he brought a knife with him, we hired him as the killer.
Yeah.
You know,
you were doing a little method.
Dead completely. You know, get out of here. So other stuff happened. I do other work and everything else, and a few years passes. And they have another character named Jerry Gold that no one saw, but it was the nemesis of Murphy Brown, the left-wing news announcer. And Jerry Gold was, like Bill O'Reilly or somebody, right? Morton Downey Jr. was the guy back then. Mm-hmm. So they go, we got to get somebody in here. And they go, hey, remember that asshole, Jay Thomas? Let's get him back. I swear to God. So they call my agent, and he says they must have forgotten that they read you 3 or 4 years ago, but go in anyway, I go in, I am nervous. I'm completely nervous. So they give me the script, and I read, and it's dead silence. And they go, what's that? What is that? They go, act like you did before. I go, what do you mean? When you said he was going to die of AIDS and all this kind of shit. And so I just acted like that, and they gave me the job.
They wanted you to go off script.
They wanted me to act like an asshole.
I see.
So that's what happened. And now I did that. I got called for the West Wing. I choked on a guy. Why am I eating during an interview? Rob Lowe was sitting in the lobby, sweating bullets, and because of that video or whatever, he hadn't worked in a long time. And he had been called back 4 or 5 times. I'm so well known, I was just called back for the final auditions for West Wing to play some guy in the White House. And my agent's going, it looks like it'd be you and 2 other guys, no sweat. So Rob is out there sweating. I say, hey, man, what's going on? He goes, hey, I'm back 5 times. I don't know what's going to happen. I go, shit, they ought to hire you. I go into this room full of people. John Wells is there, Sorkin probably had done like a half a gram of coke, and he's sitting up in the audience up there, West Wing. And I go, before I audition, I'd like to say I think you should hire Rob Lowe. And this room full of people goes, why? I go, because he has a huge cock.
You'd seen the tape.
And if you see the video, you see the girl right here, a big squiggly line, and Rob is right here. And they threw me out of the audition. I get back to a phone, and my agent goes, what did you do in there? I drove back to Santa Barbara, and we moved. We moved away. We moved to the East Coast. I'm not joking.
Wow.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. Even today, the casting director will hug me and say, that's the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. It ruined you, but it was the greatest. Yeah.
But how did you manage to get the part?
I didn't.
From this.
I didn't get the part.
Yeah, that was that famous Rob Lowe with the 2 girls.
Yeah, and they didn't even want me on the lot. It was like weird. Because that was their problem. They couldn't decide whether they should hire this nice-looking guy to play the part or if this video thing would play into it. But no one would say it. So I said it.
Did Rob ever contact you and say...
We know each other. I did a little movie for him. I never told him I did this, but maybe he's heard it. I don't know. It's not a story I tell on talk shows.
You just did.
Well, in this one I would. Yeah. Who's going to hear it?
No one. No one at all.
Who's going to fucking hear this?
Now, you've worked a lot with...
I could choke and die here. And you know what? It would be like in the old days when they go like this. President Adams, what? The war is over. They signed the treaty a month ago. Oh, wonderful. That's how long it takes, the information. The treaty was signed. France surrendered. When? 2 years ago. Oh, thank God. Bring our troops home. They're still fighting and the ships are going over.
Now, you've worked with and are friends with Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah, I did Mr. Holland's Opus, and then he would hire me to do stuff, and he was doing a drama at PBS, and he got hurt, and he they go, well, Richard, what are we going to do? And another scene, we can get another actor. And he goes, yeah, I think you ought to bring Jay Thomas in. And all of these dramatists at PBS, they go, Jay Thomas? And he goes, yeah, that's who I want to replace me. And they called me up, and I had 103 fever. And the director calls me up and goes, hey, what do you know? I go, oh, man, I'm really sick. I'm in bed. He goes, yeah, I'm doing this thing with Richard there in New York, and it's too bad. They'd like you to come. And I go, you mean to be on the show? I go, how much? I go, $10,000. I said, that's my number. I got up, got in an airplane, burning in fever, and flew on. And then he did a play and stuff, and then he did a show called The Education of Max Bickford with Marcia Gay Harden. And if you go on my jthomas.com, it's Richard Dreyfuss and Marcia Gay Harden and me, the 2 Academy Award winners. Yeah, I mean, he was great to me. Really wonderful. That
was a great show.
Max
Bickford said
it was good, and
they didn't promote it.
They shouldn't have canceled it. It was good, but that's what they did. So
it's funny because Dreyfuss has that image of being like the actor.
Yeah, and he's a great guy, and he was loved working with me on Mr. Holland's Opus, and there was a play ring, and I had owned a screenplay for a while, and he came and did the reading for me and all. He was wonderful, I mean, it was great. And then the PBS thing was a big deal for me.
So, not at all full of himself.
No,
just a great guy.
He once flipped a car on Sunset, and when they got there, the Coke was falling out of his pocket. And I think after that he got straight. He straightened out.
There's a lesser known films that I love him in. There's a film
Once
called,
Around.
Yeah, Once Around is wonderful.
One of my favorite
Lasse
films.
Hallström film, and also The Big Fix, which you can't find, which is a film noir a modern day film noir where he plays a private eye.
I've seen that, but I think Once Around is one of the.
He's great in it.
Yeah,
with Holly Hunter.
He said to me, Once Around hurt my career because he plays such an obnoxious guy that he said people thought I was like that, and I said, maybe that's my problem, because I really am obnoxious. What's funny? I think people think I'm going to act weird on a set, which I've never done. I've never, I do my work, and I'm doing a play now, which my son wrote the music for, called Somewhere With You, on 42nd. You just go to Somewhere With You. And I do Ray Donovan also on Showtime.
Now, is there any chance, or is that strictly for Letterman?
What?
Of the Lone Ranger story?
No, I don't. I'll tell you the after story.
Okay.
Everybody knows it. You can go online and see the original.
Yeah.
It's a treat for people that don't know it. Jay does it every year on the Letterman show.
They know.
Christmas
Somebody knows it. But the Lone Ranger, I opened car dealerships. I was a disc jockey, and you can see the whole thing. And so after it's over, there was a car wreck, and the Lone Ranger helps me and my stoned friend out of this situation. So we get back in the car, and we're driving the Lone Ranger back to this motel in Charlotte, North Carolina, right? And so we're so thankful he helped us out of this wreck situation. And we get him back to the Red Roof Inn or whatever. And is there anything we can do for you, Mr. Moore? And he goes, as a matter of fact, could there be any perhaps entertainment or and we realize he wants a chick.
And he's wearing the mask and the hat the whole
He's
time.
wearing the mask and the hat.
The full Lone Ranger get up.
I just recently, his daughter contacted me to tell me how I kept her father's memory alive. And I said, well, I'm going to tell you a story that's going to ruin your father's memory for you. And I told her this story. I said, so Mike and I knew this girl. Her name was Melanie, and her last name is a color. You can pick whatever color you want. It's a color. And she liked to screw celebrities that came to town. And we would call her up, and we would go, Melanie, Cheech and Chong are in town. She'd go, fuck Cheech and Chong. Melanie. Tony Orlando is in town. She sucked Tony Orlando, Tie a yellow ribbon around my dick, and you knew Melody was there. So we call Melanie up, and the Lone Ranger, the show had been off the air for quite a while.
Sure.
And she was, much younger than we were. And so I go, Melanie, we're in front of the Red Roof Inn right now. And the Lone Ranger is in town, and it's dead silent. And she goes, really? I go, yes. And we've told him all about you. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. So I said, look, we're going to come get you. And she was a lovely girl. Her father was like a big realtor or whatever. And she would bring girls to me who had never had an orgasm. And I would make sure they'd still never had one, but would work with them. And so, what works? You get Tupperware, and when you click it, you put their clit in there and you click it, and it works.
Somebody got a pen?
Yeah, write it down. So so we go get Melanie.
Tupperware.
We bring her back to the Red Roof Inn, and I say, look, we're going to go out to the radio station, and I'm going to get the William Tell Overture. I'm going to bring it back to my apartment. And after you're done, we're going to come get you. You will not speak. And you will come into the apartment. We're going to play, and you will tell us everything that happened when you entered that room. We wait, about an hour and a half. Get back to my apartment. I make sure, this is, turntables and all that. My friend and I, we take showers. We get ready. The phone rings. We go get her. Don't speak. We get her back. And she goes, I went to the door, and he opened it up, and he had on a blue robe that looked just like the Lone Ranger outfit, and he wore these glasses that looked just like the mask. I said, what? He dressed just like the Lone Ranger, except in casual wear. So she comes into the room, and he has food and everything, and she said, he had equipment. I said, equipment? He had, and we didn't know from vibrators. We didn't
silver bullet.
We used our penises. We didn't, you want to vibrate? We shake our dick a little bit. You know what I mean? Put a fucking electric toothbrush up your ass. That was about the amount of whatever. So she goes, he was wonderful. And when he takes his robe off, finally, he has pajamas that are the same color as the Lone Ranger, outfit. And he made love to her, and he vibrated her, and did all of these things. And meanwhile, in the background, Silver. Yeah, that's a true story.
Fascinating. How old is Clayton Moore at this point when this is happening?
He's probably
the show was on in the 50s.
Yeah, I guess he was in his late 60s or whatever, which then was old. Now, of course, 60s the new not dead yet. Wow. Over. To get you to laugh like this, I can't tell you what a thrill it is to get you to laugh. Okay? Wow.
What an honor to hear the after story.
Yeah, the after story.
Never been told.
Yeah.
Now we were talking.
And no commercials, right?
Yeah.
No. Gilbert and I were talking.
Who would the fuck sponsor this?
We got one.
A rug company. Hi, Melvin's Rugs. I'm Melvin.
We got one offer.
All right.
You want to ask Jay about Darva Conger?
Oh my God! Yes.
How to Well, there's a new show on called Married at First Sight. It's
right, that's right. We just talked about it on The View, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's really, before it's over, they're running out of ideas. Let's watch retards fuck. It's coming. It's coming anytime now. But so they hire me. They call up, and Buckwall's my agent, and they go, Billy Crystal's turned him down, and this person's turned him down, and they're trying to get someone to host this show where a multimillionaire guy is married to someone he's never met. I go, oh my God, I don't want to do that. I'm working in New York. I'm doing great, and I don't want to do that. So a week passes. They can't find anyone to do it, and the number goes up to like $100,000 for like 2 or 3 days. And I go, Jesus. And my agent says, let's take the money. No one will ever see this thing. So I go to Vegas. I bring my whole family. We rehearse, and there's all these women, and they're vying for this so-called multimillionaire. The guy owes $2 million.
Rick Rockwell.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Yeah.
And he's friends with Heidi Fleiss's brother, who's the producer. Can you get any sleazier than that? Right? So they do this show, and it's happening, and it's live. And this judge, after watching it for like 2 or 3 hours, who's going to perform the wedding, says, "I want to leave. I don't want to do that." I go, "You can't leave. You cannot leave." So now they get down to 8 or 10 girls, and Darva Conger was just a bitch, right? Being a bitch. No one has seen the multimillionaire, and he's hidden behind in a bubble, like in a shroud. So at one of the breaks, I run behind the shroud, and I go, "Whatever you do, don't marry the blonde." And he looks up, he's shocked, no one, the security around him, he goes, "Oh, that's the one I liked." I go, don't. And I go back, and the producers get mad at me, and he goes, "Why not?" I go, "She is a bitch." So I go back, well, he chooses Darva Conger. And he tongue kisses her, and she is in shock. Now, she was there playing the game with everybody, and he says to her, "Jay told me you were a bitch and not to marry." "Oh, don't help me. Don't help me any." So they get married. She cries all the way to Hawaii. He brings a buddy of his and another woman. They're all drinking and acting crazy, and Darva Conger is sorry. And she is married to this guy. And they go to Hawaii, and it blew up in their faces. And then they said that he had threatened a girlfriend or something. Who knows if it was even true. And the president of Fox said, "We will never, ever do a show like this again." Well, he's no longer with us. And they canceled the show, and then, it had a life afterward, right? And I went on every show there was to go on, and Darva Conger and I would appear as a person she hated, and she started saying, "Well, I didn't want to really do it." And I would go, why are you lying? You did want to do it, so what? I live in Santa Barbara. She ends up as a nurse, an emergency room nurse in Santa Barbara. Had I ever been really injured there and bleeding? Can you imagine? They're taking me into the fucking thing, and there's Darva Conger, turning the oxygen off or whatever. And, I think she is still a nurse someplace. I think her sister's like a big realtor in Santa Barbara. But that was really the first reality show. That really was.
And I remember...
And that was canceled. So there you go. That was canceled.
She kept saying she wanted her old life back, and then she posed for a Playboy.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, it was weird. And there was there was a girl from Washington who was a little bit overweight with braces. And I said to him, "Marry her. She will be so happy." A girl with braces with a couple of pounds on her. She'll be faithful, That show would have run forever. Now, a buddy of mine comes over at like 7:30, 7:45. We're going to dinner. It's the night the show's going to run. We taped it like a week before. I really am not going to watch it, right? But some friends of mine had gone, and they stayed for the 4-hour taping. And I said, okay, I couldn't believe it. So they edited it and all that. And my friend says, "What show is it?" I said, "It's this crazy show where a multimillionaire just marries this woman." And he goes, "Well, let's watch it." So we smoke a joint, and we get some cocktails. And I turn on the TV. And after about 45 minutes, we cannot leave the apartment.
It's that riveting.
He's turning to me going, "Oh my." Meanwhile, the show opens up with 3 million people. Second half hour, 6 million. Third or fourth half hour, it ends with over 20 million viewers. People are calling, "You got to watch this show." And I go, "Oh my God, this is it. I did it." And within 3 days, it was canceled. O'Reilly wanted me on because this was the end of civilization as we know it and all this.
Another end of civilization.
Yes, another end, by him. But, that went nowhere. But it was fun. It was fun. And, man, I got paid $100,000 for 2 days. I mean, that was like being in some big stand-up. No one would do the show. No one. No one. It was wild. I had a tuxedo. The New York Times had me on the front page emceeing it, and they reviewed it and said it was all awful. And they said, but Jay Thomas somehow watched it with us, almost away from it, in bemused horror. Now, I've been acting a long time, and I don't even know how to play bemused horror. I don't even know.
It was a compliment.
It was. Yeah. It was, and so that really kind of put me kind of in a, I was bemused. I was horribly bemused by it all. Yeah, I would have done it forever, for years, and been very rich.
It's still infamous.
It is.
Now, and you worked with Woody Allen.
Yeah, Woody wrote a play called Writer's Block. It was kind of like the one, Purple Rose of Cairo, where there's characters and then all they're really characters in a play, and then real people come in. And so the agent calls. She says, "Look, she calls. She said, look, don't fool around with him. Don't do anything. Don't make jokes. And his casting director forever is a Jane something or other. She's been with him forever.
Is it Julia Taylor?
Somebody or other. I forget. So I go in the room and they give you 2 pages, and so I don't really know much about it. So Woody is there, and he's got his head down and his hands are over his face, and he's got that hat on, and Chevy Chase is waiting in the lobby. Chevy's there, and every comic, every actor, everybody's reading for this part, and Chevy is shaking. He's so nervous. It's really weird. Yeah, and it's, I read for a lot of stuff, so it's okay. So I go in and I begin to read, and apparently it's the wrong script. It's an old version or whatever. So I hear Woody say, "He's reading the wrong script. He's reading the wrong script." And I go, "You can talk up. I can hear you." So he looks up and keeps his hands like over his head, and so the woman says, "Jay, they've given you an old script, and we really want to give you, something else to read. Would you like to leave the room and look at it and come back?" I go, "That's the oldest trick in the book. I'm not leaving the room, okay?" And they're going, "Oh, this guy's fucking around." And I go, "Look at me when I talk to you." And I get the thing, and I read, and I leave, and Chevy goes in after me, and I'm not 2 blocks away, and they gave me the part. I mean, I couldn't believe it. So I start doing the play, and it's me and B.B. Newirth. Paul Reiser was in it, and a cast of other actors who sadly, names I don't remember. But and so Woody's the director, and everybody's all excited about it. And then the actors turned on him after about 2 weeks, It's really weird, Theater actors are strange.
Interesting.
They really kind of turned on him. It was an okay play. Everybody came to it. Grant Shoud was in it. He had quit Murphy Brown to do free plays in Ireland or something. He would have diuretic shit and vomit before every performance. and we're in a little room, and the bathroom is like right there, like in a comedy club. And we're all getting our makeup, and we're hearing before the show. And he would eat sushi. So Woody would come in, The director of a play is there all the time. Woody would come in. There's nobody to buffer him. He's there, right? He'd never directed a play. In a movie, he can buffer himself with the AD or whatever. And he would come in and he would go, I want to give, your notes and all that. And so Grant would hand him and say, "Would you like some sushi?" And Woody would take a clipboard, put it over his mouth and go, it would say, "Woody, do you want some?" He goes, "Want some? I'm sorry, I'm in the same room with it." He would say shit like that, and I would fucking die laughing. Woody Allen. And then Soon Yi with the 2 kids. Yeah. They were both, Chinese adoptees. So I've got the scandal right in front of me, right? And I am just in my glory. And I've always said this. People go, "Oh, he married his stepdaughter." I just watched their relationship for a while. Whatever hell there is, she's it on earth. And she runs the whole thing. I mean, she is not like some shrinking violet that was, I don't know what, seduced by, Woody Allen. But we had a great time. He was really fun and a great guy. And everybody came, to the thing. And not one of us got a job out of it. Not one of us. That's all we did it for. And he never put any of us in a movie.
Why were people turning on him?
It's weird, we learned, everybody learned their lines or whatever. They thought that Woody wanted us to learn our lines too quickly, and you're supposed to learn your lines while you're doing the blocking or whatever. And maybe he was saying, then he fired a woman who wasn't funny, and he brings in another really beautiful, better actress, and that was Gurwitz, whatever her name is. She wrote the book about being fired.
Annabelle Gurwitz.
She wrote the book about being fired.
Right.
And that was from the Woody Allen thing. You know, and then BB Newirth acted really weird, was playing my wife, and if she wasn't getting a laugh, she wouldn't do the line, you know, and stuff like that. It was, you know, it's theater people. And then they were bickering backstage, and then they all hated her, and she was playing my wife, so I was trying to be nice. And then one day I said something to her, she yells at me, and all the other cast members, you see? I'm going, oh, you know, yeah, it's weird. I mean, even in the little play I'm doing, I can see if we're there for another few months, which we're only going to be there for a week or so. Yeah, theater actors are. Imagine comics every night for a year. Every night, the same 4 or 5 people doing the same thing every night. They need to make drama. They need to cause trouble.
Thrive off it in some way.
Yeah. And you know, after a while, you're driving a bus. You know, you learn the lines, you learn the blocking, you know where the laughs are, where the crying is, whatever it is. And now you need to, you know, pick up the stakes a little bit. You know, my mother, my son, my boyfriend, whatever. Yeah, backstage is wild. So
still a pretty cool journey for a kid from a small town in Texas to wind up being in a Woody Allen play.
I didn't stay in that town but a year.
But you were born there.
Yeah, I was born there.
Yeah, but even New Orleans,
New Orleans is a big town. It's a big town.
So with Woody, Sun Yi was insane.
Runs the show.
Yeah,
he runs the whole deal. Well, you know, I mean, he was an old man at the time. He was like, well, let's see, he was 68. He's in his 70s now. Maybe he was 70. I don't know. It was like 10 years ago, so he's almost 80. But Jesus Christ, he marries his stepdaughter, which is so weird, and then defends it. You know, I don't think he did anything. His funniest line was he couldn't have done anything with the daughter because they did it in an attic. And, you know, he's claustrophobic. And he says, I've never been in an attic in my life. You know that? Do you know that? He's never been in an attic in his life. And it's true. He would, if somebody sneezed or whatever. So one day, you know, we were talking or something like that. And I said, well, you know, Woody, I'm from New Orleans, so you got to keep your eye on me because, you know, sometimes I like to go, because he plays clarinet in New Orleans all the time. And he said, you know, I like to go and see you in New Orleans and all that. And I go, yeah, sure. So I said, you know, but, you know, you better keep your eye on me because I could get drunk and just not show up. You know how people in New Orleans are, right? So one day I'm late. Can't catch a cab or whatever, and I'm like late. And cell phone's not working or whatever. So they're waiting for me. And someone says, you know, we don't know where Jay is. And Woody says, he's probably laying drunk in a gutter. You know? And he writes every morning from 7 o'clock to like 2 in the afternoon, and this old 1940s typewriter every single day. Yeah.
Now, what are your feelings about all the rumors spread about him?
I don't think he did anything with the daughter. And I mean that about them. But, you know, if you look at the movies, if you look at Manhattan, you know, there was I think, you know, there are rumors that Scarlett Johansson fucked him, if you can imagine. I mean, this guy apparently says something or does something, and women find him attractive, you know, and he's funny and all that. He's also a really good athlete. Did you know that?
Yeah. Diane Keaton came on The View and talked about how virile he was.
There you go. And a terrific, like, baseball player and stuff. So, you know, it's like you. I mean, there's your wife sitting over there who's much lovelier than any human being who looks like you should be with. So, and, you know, I was wondering if the first night you fucked, did Affleck give her some sort of, you know, coverage, you know, in case she died of fright, you know. You look like a porn star from Auschwitz, you know, with your clothes off. But really, so there is something to be said to the power of comedy. Yeah. But yeah, it was something to be around him, and you know, I've been around, you know, a lot of famous people for a short amount of time. We talked about Dreyfuss and stuff. Not as many as a lot of, character actors and all, but I'm a storyteller, so I remember everything. He was very complimentary. He wrote me 2 really wonderful notes after the fact. And all I can really say is that you can't imagine it, but who knows what, demons drive people. I have no idea, but it seems hard to imagine. But still, he fucked his stepdaughter.
No way around it.
At 17 years old. I mean, or whatever it was. And she put a naked picture of herself up, and that's how Mia Farrow is supposed to be, crazy also. So, and they never lived together. They lived across the park from each other, So yeah. And, you want him to put you in one of their movies and all that. And he never, I think BB's been in one already, but I don't know that he used anybody from the play. So, it was disappointing. I wish he'd put me in one of the movies. It would have been fun, He'd go to cut a line sometimes, not one of mine. He'd just go to cut a line. And, I can't help myself. I would go, oh, don't cut that. It's fucking hysterical. Well, I guess I can't when you say it like that, And he would put it back in. I mean, he really is a little kind of a nebbish guy.
Wouldn't he ask the actors if you have a better line? Pitch the line?
Not really, but, not many actors are any good. When they say, oh, they're doing a movie and the actors are going to improv or whatever. Oh, please. No. Actors are not good ad-libbers, I mean, some comics are bad ad-libbers, They have to have their written material. They saw something. They work it, So the worst thing you can do is have an actor ad-lib a line, I mean, I kind of do it for a living, so I'm allowed it. I will throw lines in a play, but if you don't use it, it's okay, And I've just given myself a great compliment, which is true. So I'm just kind of good at throwing stuff when I'm doing a part, even if it's a drama, So I would add a few things, but nobody else said anything. Most actors don't say much, about the lines.
And it seems like working with Woody Allen is kind of like working with Neil Simon. Like, why would you? It would be like sacrilege.
Yeah, and that's how they felt. And I would say things, and they would go. The other actors would be shocked by that, but. What the fuck? It's a collaboration, Maybe in a movie, you find in some of Woody's movies, everyone acts like him. They have the same.
Especially when there's the fill-in characters like John Cusack and Bullets Over Broadway.
They begin to act like. Well, Bullets Over Broadway, he has, Chaz Palminteri.
Right.
And, the story about Chaz and Bronx Tale is that he. Chaz can barely write his name. Really, another guy who ended up being one of the writers on The Sopranos really wrote and put it together. It is his story. And so when he hired Chaz, if you go back and look at this, there are plenty of guys that dislike Chaz because he made a 3-picture deal and left out, I forget the guy's name, Joe Rizzulli or whatever. And then Chaz really couldn't write anything. And then he hires Chaz Palminteri to play a guy who ends up writing a script for someone who really can't write. And it makes everybody wonder, did Woody ever hear that? See, I think Blue Jasmine is a Streetcar Named Desire. It's not Madoff. Yeah. It's a street. And when you watch it, and if you see it, she's playing Blanche Dubois.
There are a lot of echoes of it.
And it's weird. It's like, it's just so obvious to me, but, who am I? So I think that Woody is a sponge. And I think Woody watches TV. I think he read scandal things and all that. I think he read everything that was said about him in his privacy. Yeah, I do, because it comes out, And so I think he also showed himself with the young chicks in the movies, which so what? That's cool.
Chaplin did it.
Yep, sure did. He had to move to England, but he did it. Had to fuck a young girl with bad teeth.
Now you also worked with Eli Wallach.
Yes, we were on the steps. We're doing a show. John Turturro played Howard Cosell, and I played the president of the NFL. I played Pete Rozelle. And Turturro is called Monday Night Mayhem. And Eli Wallach is playing one of the bigs in the NFL, one of the owners that I have to deal with. And we're shooting, and it's snowing at the Plaza Hotel, and it's getting late. And I guess Eli died in his 90s, right? I worked with Eli 2 or 3 times. I did Max Pickford with him also. So I'm standing on the steps, I'm excited. I'm doing this movie. Totoro's a big deal. I'm there working. So I turn to Eli and I say, so Eli, this Academy Award winner, everything. I go, so it's wonderful to be with you in this movie. I go, do you work? I don't work much. I just kind of do shit like this. I do pieces of shit like you're in. But he meant it, but it was a throwaway, and I'm on the steps going, yeah, I hope you get fucking pneumonia and die. You 90-year-old fucking relic,
Hung on to 98.
Yeah, 98 years old.
Yeah.
So, all right, my kids, I think, are waiting downstairs. So,
you want to tell us what the play is again, Jay?
Yeah, my son is a songwriter who wrote 5 #1 records in the last few years. Chesney, Jake Owen. He writes for Keith Urban, and he wrote a song for a guy named Uncle Cracker with other guys too, called "Smile," which was kind of the happy of its time. And a buddy of his from high school became a guy named Peter Zinn became a producer and a writer, and he took all of his music plus a bunch of new ones, and they wrote a Southern Iraq Army meth addict musical. And it's playing at festival on 42nd Street. It's called Somewhere with You. It's a musical festival, and it's the lead of the festival. And they hired me to play 3 small parts. I play the dad of the lead. I play a guy that works owns a club, and I play a Iraqi insurgent at the end of the play. And it starts as a comedy and becomes a drama. And I believe it's either going to go to a big Broadway off-Broadway house or go to Broadway. I mean, think about it. It's a country musical with hit songs in it. You do a play, you don't know what's going to be. It's really good. And if you guys are in New York, but it's called Somewhere with You, and I think it'll go on.
Somewhere with You, and again, what theater?
Right now, it's at the Alice Griffin Jewel Box on. It's a little 200-seat theater, but it's fun. Yeah. So that's it. And then I'm doing Ray Donovan. I have another couple of episodes.
With Lev Schreiber.
Yeah, I play Marty Goldman or whatever, but I'm really playing the guy from TMZ.
Harvey Levin.
Yeah, I'm playing Harvey. I'm gay, and I have gay boyfriends, and Donovan runs over him every week. Runs another one of my boyfriends over and threatens me. I'm always getting crap on his clients. So it's cool. It's cool.
Good.
I play a good gay asshole. Unbelievable. And if they said for 10 grand, suck a dick, I would do it.
10 grand still the number?
It's the number. Well, it used to not be. Now it's back to that number again. All right, I got to go. This was great.
Okay.
Thanks, Jay.
To make Gilbert Gottfried laugh is unbelievable to me.
This has been Gilbert Gottfried's amazing Colossal podcast with my sidekick, Frank Santopadre, and a man who's a success in radio, movies,
Everything.
TV,
Stand-up,
Emmy winner.
Game shows, reality shows.
That you'll have to still tell people, who is he again? What did he
Jay Thomas, who's taken a few shows off the air, too. Yes.